Good morning, folks. 5:30 in the morning. It's gorgeous. It's kind of misty, really quiet. Just love the allotment at this time of day. You know that kind of moment when you wake up in the morning and it's far too early and you go, should I get up? And there's a little bit of you that's like, yeah, go on, do it. And you kind of leap out of bed and you're ready to go. Feeling really, really good this morning. But I've got maybe an hour, so I want to do a few little jobs. And first, I'm going to show you what I did do yesterday. But something kind of weird happened yesterday, so we're going to talk about that. First, I did record a little bit, so let's roll that and I'll show you what I did. So after all that, the beds are looking much neater. We've got some spring onions. You can see the ground is actually still wet, where I watered it kind of after the sun had done its thing and most of this was in the shade. Some of the lettuce doing okay, and this is where most of the leeks are. And really, really pleased on the other side. These have all had a really good weed as well. Oh, look at this, some of the beans coming through. Hadn't seen these until just now. That's very nice to see. But over here I did quite a bit as well, removing a lot of the spinach and the overgrown stuff that just bolted. And just down here, put in a little squash. And obviously, there's not room for that squash plant right now. But by the time it starts growing, that lettuce will have come out, all of those broad beans will be done. If it argues with the flowers a little bit, that's okay, but we'll I think there'll be plenty of room in there. There's lots of space around that fennel too, and when those broad beans come out, I'll probably put something in there too. You can see as well, I have taken out that perennial kale, which, oh, that's my morning alarm. It normally wakes you up in the morning. Let's just turn those off. But yes, this brassica bed looking a bit more free now, and the brassicas, they are looking okay. There's one or two that just aren't growing. Look at that piddly little one. But I can see there's quite a bit of aphid damage. Sort of when you start to see this kind of curling of leaves, that normally means there's quite a few aphids in there. And you just have to kind of keep on top of it, keep it monitored. And if all of the new growth is coming up like that, then you do need to do something because it will stunt the lettuce, I think. Some of the quick jobs I want to get done this morning are just giving the tomatoes a prune, getting rid of all these side shoots. I actually meant to do this yesterday and forgot. And I just need to tie some of these in as well. This one's a bit wild. It's got a bit of a funny shape to it, so I'm going to tie that one in and just get all these side shoots. I do as well really want to weed that patch of onions that I showed in yesterday's video when I was looking at it on the camera. I was just like, JB, that looks so terrible. So that's kind of my main jobs today. I just want to get the tomatoes pruned this morning. It's a gorgeous kind of small purple one on this Brad's, and get that little patch weeded, and then we'll talk about yesterday's kind of weirdness, I guess. I think everything in here is going okay. Like I say, we've had a few losses with the tomatoes, and one of the things I started talking about yesterday and then forgot to actually finish my thought. I was meant to say we've got these two ones that have kind of perished or just not looking good down here, and it might be a really bad idea. And I probably shouldn't do it, but I am I am thinking about putting one of the chili peppers in there. There's my Buna Malata there. Oh my God, as well, let me just... I said the Buna Malata might have been my favourite tiny mispronunciation. But I was watching his video yesterday, and what was it that he said? The Kalima beans. What was it he said? I can't even remember. It was camellia. He's in the camellia bean. I just love it so much about Tony. It's like maybe my favourite thing about his videos is if he just can't remember the pronunciation, he just makes it up. Just a different plant. It's so good. Whereas me with like Italian words and stuff like that, I'm too scared to talk. I'm too scared to say it because what if the pronunciation's wrong? It was so good. The squash from yesterday and the beetroot, Chioggia. That's how you say it. I think it's Chioggia. But oh dear me, I've completely forgotten what I was saying. Oh yes, yeah. I've just seen as well. I should tie that one into the steak as well. But what I'm thinking I might do with this one that's got the really severe leaf curl, I'm wondering whether or not to. I've got a little side shoot here, and the one that's come off here, this side shoot, is just looking a lot healthier. So I'm thinking what I might do is leave one of the side shoots up here to become a new main stem if the leaves are looking much stronger and kind of more adapted to these growing conditions. Oh, monster chili's looking good too. Really starting to put on some growth. You see all this kind of fresh green growth around the tops. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Right, let's do these onions quick. There we go, that's a bit better, isn't it? See that little pile of weeds? And I'm just doing a little bit of hand weeding here, just the ones that are close to the onions. I can then come in with the hoe and just quickly hoe off everything in the main bit. So that feels a lot better. One of those nice quick wins. And like I said, just saw it on the video yesterday and I was like, I can't leave those. But yeah, all right, let's talk about yesterday. What was a bit weird? Well, it's quite simple. But very, very unusual for me, and that is, I really enjoyed doing the tour and showing you everything and just getting carried away and going, oh, look at this, look at this. But when it came to actually doing the work, I wasn't enjoying it. And that, for me, is honestly surreal. Like, me doing jobs in the garden and just being a bit miserable, and I was kind of like, probably scowling most of the time I was doing it. Just really, really unusual. And pure and simple, I think I lost my gardening mojo. And we talked about this a little while ago on one of our Potty Mouth live streams, actually, and it was really good. And the reason I'm talking about it is because I just want to let you know, especially if you're a new gardener, but even if you're a seasoned gardener, it's, I think, quite normal and quite common to have periods in your life where the garden just doesn't do it for you. You know, like, there are jobs to do and you can be doing them, and you might just not be enjoying your time in the garden. And these times, they kind of, for me, they come and they go. But the most important thing is that you have to push through it and do it anyway, because otherwise that's when it really starts to build up and get on top of you. And, you know, maybe this isn't universal, maybe this is just very me, but I find, I've spoken a little bit before, sometimes I get a bit depressed, you know, I struggle with depression, and all of this kind of illness and the hay fever is definitely brought on a bit of that. But to be clear, I don't think you have to be suffering from depression to just lose your gardening mojo. Sometimes it's quite natural, especially I think when you can't spend as much time in the garden as you would like to because life is getting in the way. There's a myriad of reasons why that might be. You don't need me to talk to you about them. But it's very, very common, especially if you have an allotment where not only, where you can't just walk out into your back garden and start doing things, you know, like allotments, it's just a bit more involved. You have to get there first. And even if your allotment is only 15 minutes walk away, that's still half an hour. And sometimes you can't find half an hour in your day if stuff is going on. But yeah, I just really wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit. And it's just such a weird feeling for me, because you see in the videos how much joy and fulfillment and contentment that this garden normally brings me. So when I'm doing stuff or walking around and just feeling nothing, you know, I just feel like I want to go home. It is bizarre. It really weirds me out. And yesterday I realised, I was just like, you know, it's quite simple. That's all that's happened. I'm in a bit of a funk, in a bit of a, just having one of those moments where my garden mojo has gone AWOL. And weirdly enough, I woke up this morning and it was back. The default for me, I think, is waking up in the morning and wanting to be here. You know, not necessarily straight away in the morning, but I want to be here at some point during the day. because it's like one of my favourite places to be. So I'm always a bit hesitant to be like, well, it's cured, it's back, I'm back. Especially seeing as I'm not 100% sure what's going on with hay fever. Someone the other day said, JB, you're talking about hay fever quite a lot in your videos and I don't like it. And I do get that. I do get, you know, when you're just listening to someone kind of mank and moan. But the reason I've been talking about it so much is not because, oh, you know, the symptoms are a bit crap and a bit annoying. It's because it fundamentally changes my relationship with this space. And that's what this channel is all about. You know, it's me and the allotment. And when you're allergic to your hobby, when being outside is miserable, you know, and you can't really breathe properly, let alone see or speak, you just have to avoid it for your own health. Otherwise, you do yourself more harm than good. And so I've not been able to avoid speaking about it, really. It would be really weird for me to have this channel and not talk about it. So I think really I kind of wanted to get this off my chest, and B, I want to reassure new gardeners especially that it's really normal to have ups and downs with your garden. If you've got someone like I have with, you know, I've had with my parents helping out a little bit to keep on top of things, it makes things so much easier. And that's why sometimes doing a whole garden by yourself is really, really challenging, because it's fine when you're on top of things and you've got the energy, but if that falls, you know, if stuff's going on or you get ill or whatever, it's really quick. You know, gardens can just out of control really, really quick. And thankfully, for once, that's not happened with me. I have a long history of doing ups and downs and leaving this plot to get neglected for weeks at a time, mainly due to periods of depression. You know, it happens. It's one of those things. It's been a very good year so far for me until the hay fever, but I hope that's helped. Thank you ever so much for watching. An extra special thank you to my Chili Pepper tier patrons, as well as all of my patrons, Tony, Mel, Bill, Louise, Pam, Michael, I've got a different order, Socks in the Garden, Denise, and Craig. An extra special thank you to you. Thanks again everyone for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again in the next one. Today's tomato prunings, by the way, not crazy if you keep on top of it.